For the City of Bainbridge Island, 2021 is a significant milestone. It marks the 30th anniversary of becoming an all-island government. On February 28, 1991, the City of Winslow annexed the unincorporated area of the island. The name of the city later changed to Bainbridge Island.
We never want to miss a chance to celebrate milestones and successes. We want to stop for a moment and turn around and look back over the last 30 years and really appreciate the work that people have done to get us to this point.
Getting to the point of annexation was a citizen-led effort that came with several failed attempts spanning 50 years. It wasn't until the Home Rule Committee formed in 1988 that annexation would eventually succeed. To supporters, Home Rule meant that decisions on Bainbridge Island would be made by those who live here, not Kitsap County.
It meant to have general purpose government, that is land use planning, police, public safety, public health, those things decided by people locally that you could talk to, by our friends and neighbors.
In 1989, the Home Rule Committee asked the City of Winslow to annex the unincorporated area, but the Winslow City Council rejected the request. The Home Rule Committee then gathered more than 2,000 signatures to incorporate a second city outside of Winslow. The Kitsap Boundary Review Board denied the proposal. At that point, the committee seemed to be at a dead end.
I remember a big meeting we had called Quit or Fight. And there were brochures all over the island. Should we quit or should we fight? And so we had a meeting, hundreds of people came, hundreds. No, let's keep going. And so we did.
Determined to keep fighting, the Home Rule Committee moved forward with two approaches: state legislative action to allow a vote on incorporation as a second city and annexation to Winslow. At the same time, newly elected City of Winslow Mayor Sam Granado developed an interest in annexation.
I didn't like the idea of two cities on the island, one mostly a rural city and the other Old Winslow crammed in with no room for expansion or anything. Didn't make sense to me. Another thing was I had owned Linwood Theater, and on several occasions we had the need to call the sheriff because the sheriff handled everything. We had a knife pulled on our staff, we had a gun pulled. One time the sheriff got there 3 hours later, another time he never showed up. The sheriff's department had only given half a deputy to Bainbridge Island. So that's, except for the limited area of Winslow that had its couple of police officers.
In March 1990, Granado and the council approved a resolution calling for an election. Winslow residents would vote on the proposal to annex the rest of the island.
So we had mass meetings at the high school, we had meetings other places. I spent hours answering questions, promoting the idea. Had questions like, you can't be a city because cities don't have septic tanks, they have sewer systems, which was ridiculous. In any event, we held the vote in Winslow, and they had asked me, if it fails by 1 point, will you drop it? I said, yes, I'll drop it. It passed.
Next came the election that would decide the island's future, a vote by those outside of Winslow in the unincorporated area.
I distinctly remember signs where some say, keep Bainbridge Rural, vote yes. And another one would say, keep Bainbridge Rural, vote no. And so people had different interpretations of it meant to have a city government. And my answer to that was, I have my own view of that, but in the end, all I want is all of us to decide whether it's rural, yes or no.
On November 6, 1990, voters in the unincorporated area approved annexation by a narrow margin of 139 votes. 51.1% voted for an all-island city, 48.9% voted against. The City of Winslow grew from 3,000 people to nearly 16,000.
I've never regretted it. I still think it was the right thing to do. We really set about planning on a long-range basis the future of the island.
Following annexation, the council established 3 wards, North, Central, and South, and expanded from 5 to 7 members. They revised land use codes, hired new staff, and created infrastructure. The city, which previously maintained 17 miles of streets, was now responsible for an additional 119 miles of roads.
We had a huge amount to do. You had a little city of Winslow with 3,000 people suddenly having responsibility for the rest of the island. I remember even all the county records, the building permit records, all had to be carted from the county to the city.
We had to establish policy. We had to develop strategic plans, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
The transition to an all-island city government coincided with a new state requirement for cities to develop a comprehensive plan addressing growth. That began the effort to start laying out the vision for the island and how to preserve our rural character.
I think we've done fine. We've argued amongst ourselves on various issues, but I think in the long haul, we've been able to make the decisions that reflect what the people in the community want.